There are so many elements within the filmmaking process that make a video look or feel cinematic. It's things like set design, audio, composition, and framing. There's so many things, but one of the main important things that is commonly overlooked is lighting. Now, there is a vast world of lighting and lighting techniques and cinematic lighting techniques. What is it about the lighting within a film that makes it look cinematic? Well, my friends, the truth is, the answer is super simple. So in this video, I'm gonna share 3 essential things that I'm usually thinking through when I'm thinking about my lighting. These are things that are commonly overlooked, especially in the beginning of my career. I didn't think about these things at all, but once I started to implement these few things into my videos and my films, it truly was a game changer. And I promise, once this video is over, you're gonna wanna go out and try these techniques and you'll see the true difference. But without wasting any more time, let's get into it, please. Hey, what's happening, everyone? My name is Ryan, and if you're new with us, welcome. I truly appreciate you being here. Now, we're definitely gonna dive into those cinematic lighting tips, but first let's answer the main question that was in the title of this video, and that is, why don't videos look like movies? Have you ever looked at a video and just knew it was a video? Or here's a better question, have you ever wondered why movies look like movies? And have you ever wondered, how do people get that cinematic look for their videos? Now, I do realize that the word cinematic is highly overused. However, there is a true definition for the word. It basically means anything that you might see in the cinema. But here is the true definition according to Webster's dictionary. This definition leads me to believe that it is a relative term to the filmmaker or the videographer. Everybody has their vision, and I think, or actually I believe, that's what filmmaking is. I'm saying this all the time here on the channel, that it's all about you, your unique vision and view of the world, and what you could bring to the table, all of the experiences you've had in your life that don't even relate to filmmaking. All of this is mixed up and is what we see in the end result of your videos or your films. I felt like I needed to go into that explanation because I use the word so often, but I truly mean it in terms of trying to get a cinematic look, or a look for my videos or films that look like something you would find in a movie in the cinema. But what makes a video look cinematic? The truth is that it's just a bunch of different choices that cinematographers and directors and crew members are making to make a film look like a film. And one of those things that is super huge is lighting. But by now you're probably asking, so how do I do that? Well, let's get into that next. Let's jump right into some lighting tips and techniques. One of the main reasons why movies look like movies is because the cinematographer is looking to create a world that looks and feels realistic, further enhancing the experience for us as if we were there with our characters. The key to lighting a scene to make it feel and look realistic is to light the scene to look like it wasn't even lit at all. But how do we do that? On a film set, the cinematographer will typically walk around the room and see what kind of light is spilling into the room naturally. Then the cinematographer will motivate their light based off the ambient light that's coming in. This is commonly called motivated lighting, or commonly even called light that can be justified within the scene, and is used to create a whole world for our characters that seems and feels believable, which is our first tip. So let's dive into that. Okay, so here is a scene that actually works pretty well. It looks fairly natural. Now, there are a few things that I would have done a little bit differently. Like, ideally, I would have the key light coming through the window from outside, but it looks like it's gonna start raining here pretty soon. It rains a lot here on the Oregon coast. I'm just bouncing this main light, this Aperture 120D, onto the ceiling. It's in the corner, so it's bouncing off of that corner and it's coming out this way towards me, giving me a little bit of light on this side of my shoulder. And I have that at 100% to kind of fill in the room. To give a little splash of light on the side of my face, I'm using this tube light that's right next to me here, and I tried to get it as close to my face as possible, just right out of frame, and that seemed to work really well. After that, I just needed a little bit more fill, so I grabbed my trusty project card that I got from the store. You guys have probably seen this many times, and I put that also as close to my face as possible. It really made a huge difference. Now, what am I doing? I'm actually creating little micro adjustments in my lighting to create a natural looking scene, and all of this is being motivated by the lighting that I already have in the room, which would be this window light, and I want to emulate and elevate that window light. The second tip or technique that a lot of cinematographers use is removing light, so let's dive into that one. In the beginning of my career, I wasn't thinking about layers or depth or anything like that. I just knew that I had to bring light into the building and that I had to turn all of the lights off. Now that's not a bad way to go. That's actually very smart, and you should do that in every video that you produce. But if you're looking for that cinematic look, removing light is a great way to go. So why would we want to remove light? Removing light can enhance the shot in so many different ways, like adding depth, mood, and layers to the scene. But now that we know it's important and why we would remove light, how do you do it? One way is to just block out any kind of ambient light from spilling into the room. For this, you could use something as fancy as like a flag or something like that, or you could use something as simple as a black curtain, which I've used many times on all kinds of film sets. I actually have some blackout curtains here in this room. Whenever I'm filming my talking heads, I just close those because there's a window there and it just blocks out any ambient light coming from the sunlight. But as you know, light has a way of bouncing all over any kind of surface that is in the room. So another way to block out some light is just to add some negative fill to your subject. All you would have to do is have some kind of black solid, again, maybe a black curtain or a flag, and place that on the shadow side of your subject to further enhance and remove light from your subject. What this is gonna do is it's not only going to block out any light that's being reflected from any other surfaces in the room, but it's also gonna absorb some of that light, giving you a much more moody and dynamic look for your scene. Now I have a whole video about fill and negative fill on the channel, so I will leave a link in the description below if you're interested in watching that. Negative fill is definitely one of those things that you should keep on hand because it can add so much to your scene if you're looking for that moody style cinematic look for your videos. So now that we have these two tips down, motivated lighting and removing light, then you're already at a massive head start. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter a whole lot unless your decisions are made to drive the story. So let's dive into our next tip, and that is story-driven lighting. There are so many different choices that the cinematographer can make in order to create a scene for a film. These are things like whether to choose hard light or soft light, to shoot on the lit side or the shadow side, or whether or not the scene calls for high key or low key lighting. This truly is one of the main reasons why a movie looks like a movie and feels like a movie. There are a lot of decisions that are made, and they are all based off of driving the story and the narrative of that story. So what does that look like? Let me show you an example. This room here is lit, but what if I were to turn off all of the lights except for this key light? Well, then that totally feels a whole lot different. Again, this goes right back to our first thing, and that is we want everything to feel and look as natural as possible. If I were just to leave this one light on, that would be a stylistic choice and a very hard one at that. This is increasing the contrast between the highlights and the shadows of my shot, making it feel a little bit moody and probably even a little unsettling. Now there is a whole lot more that goes into how to make a video look cinematic, which we can't get into huge detail in this video today. But I hope to make more videos like this to further explain how to make our videos look more cinematic, so definitely stay tuned for that. The best part about all of this is not only will these few things that we just talked about massively elevate your films, but these are also super simple to master. And because I know that you're dedicated to the craft and the art of filmmaking, you're gonna pick these few things up right away. It just takes a few rounds, some practice and reps to really get it down further, and truthfully just going out and making something. So I just want to encourage you to pick up your camera, take these few techniques, grab a few friends and some family members, and go out and make your film. Well, that's gonna do it for me, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. If you liked this video or you learned something, please click the like button down below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, friends.